Welcome to Michigan in Focus. I'm Bruce Walker, Great Lakes Regional Editor for the Center Square. Joining me for today's segment is Scott McClellan, the Center Square reporter. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in Big Rapids. We talked about this last week, but things really came to a head today. The Senate Appropriations Committee more or less didn't have the votes to pass the transfer of funds from the MEDC SOAR fund. And this week, well, they did. And they passed it very, very narrowly with 3 Democratic senators voted against the transfer. 6 Republican senators voted against the transfer. But it was a final vote of 10-9 that the Senate Appropriations Committee approved $175 million of Michigan's Strategic Outreach Attraction Reserve Funds to the Gotion Inc. electric vehicle battery parts manufacturing facility in Mecosta County. And I have written on this. You have written on this. Give us a little bit of background, if you would, please.
So this was one of the battery factories announced in 2022, one of the 2 that was slated to get $951 million. Gotion originally planned for this factory to be in Big Rapids, but there was local pushback that caused Gotion.
That would be Big Rapids Township and Green Charter Township, 2 adjacent counties or townships within Mecosta County outside of Big Rapids.
So after locals in Big Rapids Township pushed back on the Gotion plant there, the Gotion executives decided to move it to nearby Green Township. And that was just the start of, consternation statewide over this project.
Well, yeah. And one of the things that we discussed last week was that one of the members of the township board in Green Charter Township has 72 acres that is right in the red zone of where Gotion plans on building its plant. And to be fair, recused himself from the vote on that. In full disclosure, he was very transparent about it. But the remaining 8 members voted in favor of the development moving forward. So 72 acres at top dollar is quite a windfall for this fella. So not really sure how to interpret that, but there you have it. There's that aspect of it. What other objections do some of the township and county folk have against this?
I think there's multiple. I think some residents are concerned that taxpayers are offering a 30-year property tax break for this facility when many local businesses don't get that. And I haven't really heard of many, while others are concerned about Gotion's affiliation with the Chinese Communist Party and the People's Republic of China.
And there's been some pretty marquee names that have come out against it simply because of the Chinese connection. One of them would be John Molinar, who is a U.S. representative from Midland. And on Thursday, April 20th, he came out with a statement that said the Appropriation Committee approved millions of taxpayer dollars in funding for Gotion to build a massive battery factory in Mecosta County. He called it, quote, a historic mistake. And I like how he says a historic mistake rather than an historic mistake. So I got to give him props for that. And he has said that the proposal is wrong for Michigan. Gotion is a subsidiary of a Chinese parent company that pledges allegiance to the Chinese Communist Party. A company that pledges allegiance to the CCP should not be receiving your tax dollars. There's also been Pete Hoekstra from the west side of the state, who is a former U.S. representative who was on the U.S. Intelligence Committee, also a former U.S. ambassador, and I believe that was for the Netherlands, and Joseph Sella, whom you've talked to, who have come out staunchly opposed to this. Some of their concerns are environmental, and we're talking about some pretty toxic chemicals that could be brought in for this battery manufacturing plant in Mecosta County. And not far from there is the Muskegon River. What else do you have on this topic, Scott?
There's a lot of questions about this. I got a release from Senator John DeMoose, a Republican from Harbor Springs, and he was criticizing the Gotion deal. He was saying that the company is not responsive to lawmaker questions. The quote is, "Company officials have routinely left questions unanswered, the company being Gotion, and concerns from both lawmakers and state residents have not been addressed. This isn't a way to forge a relationship, and I don't believe Gotion has earned the trust of state residents, which is a critical part of this development being successful."
Thank you so much, Scott. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com. I'm Bruce Walker, Great Lakes Regional Editor for The Center Square. Please subscribe, and thank you so much for listening.